Hi, and welcome to Chamber Chat via Zoom. I'm Danielle McFadden, President of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. I'm so excited to have our newest member on for Chamber Chat. I have Elise Springle here. She is the Operations Manager for FoodLink. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
It's so great to I love putting faces with a name, when you email somebody and then you get to see them. So great to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
One of these days it'll be in person.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
So let's talk about what FoodLink is and how you got started.
Sure. Yeah, so we're really excited to be a new member of the Greater Lowell Chamber. FoodLink is a food rescue nonprofit. And what that means is we work to get food that would otherwise be wasted to nonprofits and community organizations throughout Eastern Massachusetts who need it. So we started almost 9 years ago now.
Wow.
Our co-founders, Deanne and Julie they were on a PTO together and they were getting a donation from Panera for an event and started talking to the folks at the cafe and found out that if they didn't pick up that bread, it was going to go to waste. And every other night that week, the bread was going to waste. So they figured there had to be someone in their community who needed bread. So they start working with a low-income housing facility to get them bread from Panera, and it quickly grew. Before we knew it, Trader Joe's was asking if we could pick up food donations from them. And 9 years later, we do about 1 million pounds of food every year and serve around 50 agencies throughout Eastern Massachusetts. So everything from your small kind of like food pantry in the basement of a church to large homeless shelters like Lowell Transitional Living Center. So a whole variety in between too.
What a cool story. And I'm on the board of the Merrimack Valley Food Bank. So food insecurity is such a cause that's near and dear to my heart. I love that it started at PTO.
Yeah, of all places. For a long time, we still have IKEA bags that we use to carry around our bread that say like Minuteman parent teacher organization and things like that written on them. So they'd get back. It was kind of an interesting place to start.
And I don't think people realize that food does go to waste like that. And like people think, well, Panera makes enough bread for whoever's coming in. And who would want to waste Panera bread, first of all?
I know, right? Yeah, but an amazing amount of food goes to waste. Actually, 40% of the food we produce in this country is wasted, which is astronomical, especially when you think about hunger. And as you know, being on the board of the Merrimack Valley Food Bank is that hunger has increased so much this year. I mean, it doubled in Massachusetts. So there's a high need.
So you mentioned that you do work for the Lowell Transitional Living Center. What else are you doing in the greater Lowell area?
Yeah, so historically, we've worked with Lowell Transitional Living. We've also worked with House of Hope. Right now, we're working with NFI to have a food pantry that's in their facilities that helps motivate families to come back for their services. We also are doing quite a bit of work in Billerica. We have a new partnership with the Billerica Senior Center. They've done response work during this time to set up food pantries and distribution for folks. So we've been supplying them with food. We've worked with a shelter in Billerica as well in the Billerica Food Pantry, but we're looking to expand in the area. So we are always open to if folks are interested in partnering, seeing what else is happening.
Excellent. We love to hear that. So you've been around for about 9 years. This past year has been just one for the books. How has COVID-19 affected your work?
Yeah, it was really one for the books. So a couple of years ago, we were projecting, kind of where we wanted to go. And at the time we had done 600,000 pounds of food a year. And we're like, and like 2024, 2023, we'll get to 2 million pounds. We did 1 million pounds in 2020, and that was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned before, the need drastically increased. We saw a growing food insecurity rate and a lot of just need for home deliveries programs as well. So it was to meet that demand that was part of the reason we grew. The other part was that our food system was strained, and while food not being on the grocery shelves was really hard for folks, it wasn't on the it wasn't not there because it didn't exist. It wasn't there because there are issues in the supply chain. And that's really what we do. We're the folks who work with these various steps of the supply chain to get their waste to ensure that it makes it to these other agencies. So we traditionally do a lot of work with grocery stores getting their waste. And this is still food that's perfectly good. It's like maybe getting close to code date or has a bruise. A lot of the time it's overstock and things like that. But so during this time, we really increased what we were doing further up the supply chain, doing a lot of work with wholesalers and institutions. So going direct to the people who make your yogurt or to the produce vendors who are buying from California to get the food that they couldn't get to market.
It's really amazing when you looked back at the past year, your mind kind of must have been blown by all that you were able to accomplish.
Yeah, we have the best team. I stand back regularly and go, how did we do this? But we have the most fantastic staff and the absolute best people volunteering. We have about 250 people who regularly volunteer with us, like their job. Yeah, and they just, they're lugging around 30-pound boxes of broccoli every day and with a smile, making sure that it gets to their neighbors. And it's really, that's what allowed us to do so much this past year.
And you don't work for a nonprofit, anybody in the nonprofit, because, you're gonna retire rich. You do it because it's a mission that you care about. And it's just amazing to see all of these small but mighty nonprofits rolling up their sleeves. And we're positioned much better here, I believe, in Massachusetts than in other states, just because our nonprofit community and network is so great and works so wonderfully together.
Oh, totally. Yeah. The amount of partnerships that we saw spring up this year were amazing. Just everyone was more interested in collaborating than competing with each other. And it made us all better and made us do more.
So you talked about how you kind of had goals going out the next few years, but how you pretty much smashed through most of those during COVID. What are your plans for 2021?
Yeah, so 2021 is going to be a really exciting year for FoodLink. We're moving into our new hub. So a couple of years ago, we bought a building in Arlington that we have been working to outfit to be our food rescue hub. It has on-site cold storage, a loading dock, indoor sorting space for our volunteers, and it helps us consolidate our operations. Right now, we're working at about 4 different locations between our office, offsite storage, or sorting area, and more offsite storage. So this is going to bring that all together, and it's going to let us do a lot more. One of the pieces, the place we fill in the emergency food system is doing both food rescue, but really tailored food rescue that lets us hold food for some of our agencies till the last minute. So, like a little pop-up food pantry that has no refrigeration, we can hold on to that until they need the food and get them really culturally appropriate food. So this building lets us do that more, and it's going to let us expand our reach in places like the greater Lowell area and some of these further reaching areas from where we've been previously working. So we look forward to doing that and transitioning into that new space this year.
That is so exciting. I know firsthand as a board member for the food bank how hard it is to find like the perfect building that has a loading dock and refrigeration and space for storage. So the fact that you found that building and you're ready or getting ready to move in, everybody must be so excited.
Oh, we are. It's been a long time in the making. We've been under construction pretty much all of 2020. Yeah, and it is, warehouse space is so hard to find in Eastern Massachusetts. So having a space that lets us do all these things is just going to be amazing.
Well, kudos to you guys. That is great news. So right now we have members of the community watching and Greater Lowell Chamber members watching. How can people get involved with FoodLink if they want to help your cause?
Sure. Well, I've already kind of hinted at some of the different ways, but of course, volunteering. As I said, we have around 250 people who regularly volunteer, and we always are open to more, whether that be in the food rescue, getting to kind of sort food and pack boxes and maybe do deliveries for our agencies, or in some of the more skill-based administrative tasks and such. We're also looking for that. Another is to donate financially. We are in the middle of a capital campaign to fund this building that is nearing completion. So we're always looking for contributions there and sponsors for that. And the third part is really getting in contact to see how we can do more in Greater Lowell. We know that the need is high in that region and that we offer products and services that would be really well suited for some of the nonprofits. But one of the problems we often run into is one, just knowing who to reach out to. And so I'm sure members of the chamber have those connections and know the right places and know where there's need. So those connections, and also with logistics, transportation is actually one of the bigger issues when we're going up to that region, just because it's a little bit further away. So if there's companies that are going that way anyways and want to put a box of non-perishables,
Love it.
We get really creative when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah, just partnerships, money, and time.
Isn't it amazing how quickly you can learn to ask for things? Like I'm sure when you first, or I don't know what you did previous to this, but when you first started the job and you're like, oh, could you maybe, now it's like, hey, pop the trunk, let's throw it in. We got work to
do. I started at FoodLink as our volunteer coordinator. And yeah, real quick, I got over any worry of asking anyone for anything because I was just constantly texting people like, can you pick up food and take it to this place? Which is how we roll.
And you do it too because you clearly are passionate about the mission, and it makes it easier to ask for something when you really believe in what you're doing.
Oh, totally. And it's a reciprocal thing too. Like, I mean, I believe so deeply in what we do at FoodLink, and so do all the people who are around us. So when I give them an opportunity to get to help their neighbors, to get to do something really cool that they can feel good about and share with their friends and family, I'm not asking them to do something, I'm giving them that opportunity. And it's just a fantastic cycle of giving back.
Well, I thank you so much for joining. I'm going to put all your contact information right in this post.
Wonderful.
So we'll put your website and all your social media, but this was so great. And anytime you want to come check in, let us know how it's going with the building or anything that you have going on in the Greater Lowell area, we'd love to have you back on.
Sounds great. Maybe when we get in, we can give you a tour of our new cold storage.
I would love that. Like I said, I understand the importance of storage and loading docks and all that, so I'd love to see it. Well, thank you so much. It was so great to finally meet you, and welcome to the chamber.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. It was great to meet you too.
And thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.